As far as the passing game, though, which obviously Avery said Patrick Mahomes played good today, and you guys kind of mentioned the Hollywood, Xavier Worthy's emergence. I mean, his continued growth every week. Every week they're trusting him more. Every week it's more targets. It's a continuous, I think last week he had double-digit targets. This week he had double-digit targets again. So it's continuous now. They're starting to give him more. Yep. And Hollywood Brown, I know JD said on the show this week, 25% of 30 snaps he was looking for today. I don't know what his number was, but he got in quite a bit. Yeah, 8 targets and 5 catches today. I mean, I wasn't expecting that from him. I think his Vegas line was over 1.5 catches and 16.5 yards receiving. And I took the overs on both of those. But in the end, with 5 for 45, he hit those things pretty easily. Like I think his first catch was over that. And I know, Tej, you mentioned like it seems that we're starting to get a little bit of what we were supposed to have to start the season. Obviously, minus Rashee Rice, but plus DeAndre Hopkins. But the run game, we'll get to the run game in a second here. But the passing game just looked more fluid, looked more consistent, and just looked there was more of a rhythm and kind of a real good look at what we're going to get this offense as we go into the January and February months. It looks like things are starting to click a little bit. Maybe that was one of the reasons why Mahomes didn't want to miss this game, because this is one of the last kind of games where he'll be able to fine tune. And also the first game, he'll actually get to be on the field with number 5 in Hollywood Brown. I mean, what did you guys see in the passing game today that you haven't seen in the previous weeks?
I had to say probably, like you said, the fluidity of it, some of the quicker passes coming out. We threw a slant route to Xavier Worthy. Come on, man. We haven't seen that. I don't think we've seen that all year. So that's something different we haven't saw or haven't seen, obviously. And then, of course, like you said, Hollywood Brown, who has the ability to do it all, right? Threw him a wide receiver screen, try to go deep, back shoulder. And they're just this much away from understanding. And I know Pat was sitting there thinking, like, Hollywood, I'm trying to get you at back shoulder. He's like, I got it. Like, next time, he won't miss those. But also, too, you didn't have to put it all on Travis Kelce. You didn't have to put it all on his shoulders. Yep. You had to find him and like, oh, my gosh, and then also, too, what we started seeing, we seen Pat start getting the ball to the running backs. Maybe a little late, on the flare passes and the flats, but he still got them down there to him. So I've seen a lot of that we just hadn't really seen on a consistent basis this year. But, man, other than that, man, I think all these guys were following on all cylinders. When you have weapons like that, man, I mean, you just got to, hey, man, spread it around. Spread it around. You got so many guys out there to make plays. So I love that part of it. So
just key in on a guy until defense takes notice and then go to the next guy. Just take what they're giving you. You don't have to force anything with the amount of guys we have who can just get open one-on-one.
Yeah. Well, you going to say Bob real quick? Hold on. He's going to say Bob real quick. He's going to sit there for about 10 minutes. We're going to go watch the other show. We're going to get out and throw some ball real quick, okay? All right? See you in a minute. Tell the fellas bye.
See you, buddy.
Later, bud.
Good analysis, man.
Good analysis. So, got to do another one, okay? See you in a minute. All right.
Now, as far as the running game, I know we talked about it. It seemed like there was a little bit more of an emphasis to kind of run the ball today. It seemed like our drives a little bit a bit more balanced, at least than we've seen previously. But Kareem Hunt, it was a guy who was getting the ball 20 plus times coming off the couch, 20 plus times in 4 straight games when Pacheco was out. And then the last few weeks when Pacheco came back, kind of seen a little bit less of Kareem Hunt. But today we saw a little bit more of Kareem Hunt, and he looked fresh today. 11 for 55. He looked phenomenal today. And you saw Juju blocking his butt off on the outsides. I know we talked about the pass catcher, but Juju's blocking his butt off on the outsides. It seemed like when Wanya Morris came in, we saw a little bit more of the rushing attack. To try to make things easier for Wanya, who hasn't played the right side since college. He comes out there and looks fine at the right side spot today when Juwan Taylor went out. But I got to say, I did like what we saw from Kareem Hunt. Maybe not so much from Pacheco today, but, it's situationally and personnel groupings. I think and based on game to game, like we've talked about in the past on our show, where JD said maybe not so much that Montgomery and Gibbs kind of a template, but kind of going with how the game flow is, how the defense is playing us, and that's how you kind of go with who's going to be the hot hand out of the backfield. what did you guys see from the run game, and what did you guys see from Wanye at the right side in place of Juwan Taylor?
So I mean, I stand by what I said. Really, I think sometimes you have a particular tool for particular things, right? Sometimes use a hammer when it's needed, use a screwdriver when it's needed, right? But you don't use a hammer for a screw, put in a screw or a bolt. You use a screwdriver, and I think we should do the same thing with the Chiefs. So when we know it's third and short, obviously somebody who's better suited for it is Kareem Hunt. Not saying that Pacheco can't do it. If you do run Pacheco, I think you had to do a little bit more traps. I think you had to do something more lead back. As far as like trying to run zone, it's a little tougher to do. We've talked about Kareem Hunt doing a masterful job with that little turn his back and getting another yard or 1 or 2 with his push with his legs. And so Pacheco's just has where he's turning his legs, that he'll get caught up in the wash and may not go anywhere. Where Kareem Hunt has that push. He can push the sled. He can push the pal. And that's what I love about it. So that, as far as like with Pacheco and Kareem Hunt, it has to be the flow. Bring them in and out. It's a good change of pace. Don't just give them a series. Hey, let a guy come in particularly for what you want him to do. Sanjay Piran coming in, catching the football, doing an amazing job. Amazing job. I said that in our Keys to Victory, man, that Joe Mixon wasn't the guy that was killing us. Sanjay Piran, he stepped again today and showed that. So just the flow of how they use those 3 guys, utilize them, gets them an A+ for me, man. They did a good job with it.
With our new partner with Underdog, they'll be matching anyone's first deposit up to $1,000 in bonus cash. All you got to do is deposit $1 and they'll match up to $1,000. Promo code Chief Concerns, and click the link in the description and you guys can go right to that. But this is the Cruise picks this week, and we went with a 2-pick and with Worthy over 3.5 catches, higher than that, and Kadimi Fairbairn over or higher than 1.5 field goals made this week.
Morris, maybe he's a right tackle, not a left tackle. Could be a possibility, right? He did a pretty good job, and he did a pretty good job against a pretty talented end in Will Anderson. So if Taylor is out, it's a short turnaround because Chiefs got screwed on the amount of time we have between games. He'll have to face TJ Watt probably. So another good test for him. They just keep coming, right? But he did a good job. I'm not going to look ahead and worry about the future yet. I love that he can fill in both spots adequately, more the right side than left side. Running game, we actually had worse balance this week than we did last week. It didn't seem that way though, did it? Mm-mm. It didn't. Yeah, this week we had 41 passes to 28 total rushes. Last week it was 38-35. Total, not running backs. So running backs last week it was 27 carries. This week it was, I think, 20 carries. So a lot less in general. I thought Pacheco was going to have a better game. Maybe we just need to do a better job of riding the hot hand, I guess. But I don't think we hand the ball off enough to, once we figure out who has the hot hand that game, there's not that much handoffs left. Like I think we figured out that it was a Hunt game by like the late third quarter. It was like, oh, okay, only one more quarter to hand the ball off. We didn't hand the ball off that much after that. Even with the lead, we were just throwing first downs, trying to get first that way. So it was interesting. I just want to see us run the ball a little more. I think Dungy even touched on that at halftime. He wants to see more of a ground game from us, and I think we need to get that right. Not that I want to force the run, but playoff time, it's going to be important. Pacheco was very key in the playoffs last year. We need to have a good run game going. I know.
Yeah.
Right now, as people said, Chiefs are dying hard to trying to get their passing game on track. Our passing game probably looks better than our run game right now. So we need to get that going a little more consistent. And I'd love to see a game where both Hunt and Pacheco have good games. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I do believe that we do need to run the ball a lot more than what we did. And sometimes we put in precarious positions, like on third down, a second, because we had to throw the football. Because it was like, oh, okay, it's 3rd and 7, it's 3rd and 6. Okay. And I'm like, how come we're not starting off running the football? Like, still same thing, eating up the clock. And the thing is, it's our MO. I don't care how much we look at it. That is our MO. So Kareem had 11 carries for 5 yards. Isaiah Pacheco 9 for 26. Then you got 3 to Xavier Worthy. I mean, that's what you're looking at. That's the sum of what you're doing. But I agree with you. Going deep in the playoffs, you have got to run the football. You have to. And I think maybe part of why we were passing the ball around is because we did have Hollywood Brown out there. We want to try some things out with him.
Sure.
Like give him some looks, but don't take away from the run. Don't do that. Like you set yourself up better when you have that ability for play action, under center, to do all those different things. Like Mike Brennan said, just a thought, don't line up the shotgun on short yardage plays. Yeah, I don't like that either. But if you're going to do that, still run a trap, still run a lead back. You could bring guys in motion and let them lead into the line of scrimmage. Because it takes a second to hand the ball off from back there, right? It's not running straight downhill. It's kind of run from the side and then go. So I agree with that 100%. Another thing he said, another crazy thought, a right tackle in college might be better at right tackle than left tackle in the NFL. So he played both. Wanye played both. The thing is, I think they believe that's why he was valuable. He was taken in the 3rd round because he could play either position. But that's a great thing because he was able to come in for like a Juwan Taylor at the time when we needed him. And he looked comfortable over there. So maybe a little bit of that rest might have helped out his legs as well. So, there's a lot of different things that you could talk about those things like that. But yeah, I do believe that part of what we have to do going deep in the playoffs is you have to run a football. And I said you have to run at least 25 plus. That's what I said. It's got to be 25 plus rushing. That's where it's got to be. You got to look to have at least up to 30, somewhere around that. 28, beautiful. Let's live there.
You're saying total or with your running backs, solely running backs?
With your running backs, I was saying 25 plus with your running back. Now, if you get there at 25 plus total and everything looks good and they're breaking out and shoot, cool. But if you sit over and you look at your running backs and your running backs got 20 carries, it's not enough. Sorry.
And when you're winning.
Huh?
And when you're winning the game.
And
you want to burn clock. I mean.
Yes.
And also too, like kind of what you said, Teja, that the balance wasn't as much as the previous weeks, which we thought, right? And maybe this is because we were doing shorter passes and also too efficiency. And I'm seeing now from next gen stats here, which is why maybe to our mind we thought we ran the ball more. Mahomes was most efficient in the quick passing game in the Chiefs win over the Texans, finishing 17 of 19 for 155 yards and a TD on passes under 2.5 seconds. Mahomes averaged his fastest time to throw 2.5 seconds in a game since week 4 of 2021. So maybe to our mind, they were just getting the ball out fast. So it seemed like we ran the ball more, which we really didn't.
I believe it.
Yeah, you could tell.
Yeah, that's why one of my bets was the completions. I knew he was just going to go take it, quick hit. And we have the weapons out there to get some yak out of it. You don't need to hold the ball. You shouldn't have to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I liked also seeing that we aren't, just because our starting running back came back from injury, we aren't kind of like, oh, that's our guy. We're gonna run Pacheco to the ground. No, he doesn't got it that day. Kareem Hunt has it that day, and we're gonna give him the more totes, which I like seeing that we kind of are a committee at this point. I mean, it's what it is. It's a committee of those two, and then P. Ryan coming in on 3rd down doing what he does.
Do you think we're hurt a little bit by the I know Thuney is doing a great job at left tackle, and I'm glad he is. Do you think we're hurt by the Caliendo switch at left guard? Because our interior is supposed to be the strength of our line, but when you take an all-pro and you exchange him with a back at left guard, things are going to go down a little bit, right?
You talking about as far as like the running game?
Yes.
So I'm going to say this, and this might be an unpopular opinion. I'm just talking about from what I see, grading and whatnot. We've been just about average with Joe Thuney in at guard too. Hasn't really mattered that much. Creed and Trey has been struggling somewhat in particular games this season, and I've seen it. Buffalo was definitely one of them. Denver was another game. That they were just there were some guys out there who just kind of there's manhandling them, to be honest with you. So that's my assessment of it. What I see, that we just been somewhat average, and we haven't been like that top of the line blocking like we should. And I think those guys understand that. But it's not hard to see. I mean, it's out there on film every single week. So even on kick-out blocks, we haven't been rooting guys out. We haven't been really getting up underneath chins and pushing guys out, opening the lanes. It hasn't been that, has it? So I think the part of that, Teja, is because when you start looking at, the average yards per carry, I think it's an indication of it as well. So there's been some tough boys, man, that they haven't played against the defensive tackle.
There have been. We played against good D lines, but
yes,
man, a 3rd and short and a 4th and short up the gut, you can't get it. That's not good. That's not good. You got too much money up front, man. We got too much money up front.
Yeah, well, that play in itself, like, don't run zone with Pacheco to get that.
Yeah,
just twice, in 2 times in a row. Come on, man. Like, somebody should have. Hold on, time out. How come Kareem ain't in there? How we not running a lead? Or we're not having anything? So I just think that a better play call in that position could have worked, and we just, it seemed like we didn't have anything.
Yeah,
I was like, what? We're on the same thing.
So I saw a stat last week that apparently, I'll have to find it, but on like 3rd and 2 or 4th and 2 and closer, Kareem Hunt had I think he only was like 13 of 14 going into this game, like on rushes to convert convert first downs on 13 of 14 or something like that, some crazy number.
Yeah.
And well, those stats are there for a reason. Just go give Kareem that role. You don't need to run Pacheco on those. And it seemed like after Pacheco got stuffed on that, we saw a whole lot more of Kareem. It was almost like Pacheco got punished for that, and they gave more totes to Kareem after that, which I don't think they punished him for that, but I'm just saying it just felt like we saw more Kareem after Pacheco got stuffed on that, because it just seemed like this was a game. This is a D line that maybe benefited Kareem Hunt's rushing style more than Pacheco's in this game, and that's okay. One of the good things of having a split backfield like this.
Well, shoot, put them both in the backfield. You know how they do the set when the power eye set with them two both in the backfield? That's always tough. They do a quick little dive or whatever, move the chains, because you don't know who's going to get the football. So, like you said, you can do the split back flow, right? One go one direction, other go different direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could also do the full house formation with Mahomes, and then you have Pacheco and Hunt, and then P. Ryan behind them. You can do that. I mean, we have really 3 talented running backs. Which, I mean, not a lot of teams can go 3 deep like that. 3 experienced veteran type of guys too. Not a lot of teams can do that. Usually, teams' 3rd running back's a guy who's an undrafted guy who's a rookie or in his 2nd year. Usually, not a guy like P. Ryan who's spry and has been around the block a time or two.
Right.
So going to the other side. Well, actually, also I do want to ask, because you mentioned Joe Thuney in your opener, JD.
Mm-hmm.
Based on what we've seen, so this is 2 games now of Joe Thuney at the left tackle spot. We saw 3/4 of a game with DJ Humphries at left tackle. We saw pretty much the entire season with Wanye. From what you've seen the last 2 games with Joe Thuney at left tackle and Humphries, we don't know when he's gonna come back from his hamstring injury. Do you think at this point it's safe to say, you know what? Let's just keep it the way it is for right. Just keep it the way it is. No.
No. DJ Humphrey, he's better suited for it. I mean, he's a legit left tackle. Thuney's done a great job the last 2 games. Exceptional job. I just think that Humphreys would do a much better job. Longer arms. Caliendo has been doing a tremendous job right and left guard too. I'm not taking anything away from him, but at a certain point, what I did see this week, okay, and thank God we got the ball out quicker. That there's a couple times they run on the inside on Joe Thuney, and he kind of let that open the inside up somewhat. So I was watching him. I was watching his pass sets, how they were attacking him. Myles Garrett started to go right down the middle on Joe Thuney. So I said this, you'll start seeing teams are going to start playing this kind of like Cleveland was, like that cage rush, like keeping him inside Patrick Mahomes so he can't go anywhere. If you want to be effective against the Kansas City Chiefs, that will be your best bet. Cage rush, and then have somebody probably spine pat, and then let everybody else around you beat you.
Yeah. I hope DJ Humphries comes back sooner rather than later. Hopefully his hamstring injury clears up fast. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.